Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video of my sports Gematria. In this video, I'm going to go over 10 NBA games for Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021. I'm going to show you both sides of each game, and it'll be up to you to determine who you think will win based on the numbers. I encourage you to add additional information on top of this if needed for you to feel confident in your own pick. And if for some reason you're curious to know who I'm picking in these games, you'll have to join my Patreon, where my picks are always in writing, underlined, and italicized. More information on that, please read the description of this video. I wish you guys the best of luck in your picks today, and let's go ahead and get into the games. We have the Hornets versus the Sixers, Bucks versus Pacers, Hawks Mavericks, Cavs Clippers, Heat Wizards, Bulls Knicks, Thunder Rockets, Spurs Timberwolves, Pelicans Suns, Kings, and Celtics. So let's get started with the first game. I have my daily numbers on this side, date numerology, Gregorian Hebrew calendar. Game numbers on this side, away team up top, head-to-head record in the middle, home team at the bottom. So we have the Hornets versus the 76ers. Hornets are on a 3-game win streak, and 2 of the games are at the hands of the number 116. Hornets and 76ers today play their 116th all-time head-to-head matchup. And with the win, Hornets coach could sit on 116 regular season losses. Now the thing about this number is he's been sitting on that number for the last 3 games. And I think it's interesting because it was Indiana's and Hornets 116th all-time head-to-head matchup, and the Hornets won, and he sat on 116 regular season. And then the next game against Milwaukee, it was the 116th regular season head-to-head matchup between Hornets and Milwaukee. Hornets won, and he sits on 116 regular season losses with the win. The coach does. You know, it's funny. At first, they lost to Indiana, and Indiana won with 116 points, and that's when he got his 116th regular season loss. The coach for the Hornets, and this was their 115th all-time head-to-head, and then this became their 116th. He sat on 116. Milwaukee 116th regular. He sat on 116. Miami didn't have 116 connection, but they won the game anyway, you know? So here we have another 116th all-time head-to-head matchup between Hornets and Sixers, and he can continue to stay on 116 with the win. Might be a tall order coming against the 76ers. Hornets coach, he would get his 83rd regular season win. It is February 3rd, written 2/3 like 23. 83 is the 23rd prime number. A day with 46 date numerology on the Gregorian, and it's his 199th regular season game, the 46th prime number. On the flip side, though, what would go against them is today does have 10 date numerology on the Gregorian. 10 does sum to 12. With the loss, the Hornets would become 10-12 for a season record. It is the 112th regular season head-to-head matchup between these two teams, and that does look like a 112 right there with the added 10 to 0. So this is the Hornets' 22nd game of the season. It's the 76ers' 22nd game of the season. 22 sums to 39, just like 16 sums to 39. And Sixers can get their 16th win regular season. They would sit on 6 losses as they get their 6th away win with the win. The number 6 sums to 16. Sixers can pick up their 57th all-time head-to-head win against the Hornets. 57 sums to 139. 139 is the 34th prime number. Today, the 34th day on the Gregorian. So I'll go ahead and mark that gray. Either one of these teams, so 76ers can become 6-5 or 5-6, or Hornets can become 6-5 and 5-6. So the home record and the away record doesn't really help us in this scenario. But what could favor Hornets is that it is the 11th away game for Sixers and it's the 11th home game for Hornets. And with the win, they can become 11-11. If the Hornets do win this game, and they seem to have some numbers in their favor, they would sit on 56 all-time head-to-head losses against the 76ers, and 76ers would become 5-6 on the road instead of Hornets becoming 5-6 at home. I'm not going to overlook this 16 for the Sixers, because even though I know this 116 seems pretty good for the Hornets, that pattern's got to end eventually. And, it could just be as easily, they want him to be on 116 coming into this game for it to go ahead and pop to 117 to kind of finish the other 116 numbers that came up. So it's tough to say. We'll just have to find out when it plays out. But you're going to have to decide what they're looking to do. I mean, the Sixers have won 2 games already head-to-head against the Hornets for the season. With a sweep, you can just type that word in. Sweep sums to 23-22 in Sixers' 22nd game. They can sweep the Hornets for the season on February the 3rd. 2/3, like 23. And then it's the 112th regular season, and then Hornets would become 10-12, like 1-1-2, or 10-12. Date numerology of 10. So you're going to have to decide, is this 116 going to continue to hit? I mean, it's hit 2 times. First time is an accident. Second time is a coincidence. The third time's a pattern. So we'll see if it turns into a pattern. Pacers versus Bucks. This is basically the Hebrew versus the Gregorian. The Gregorian is the 34th day of the Gregorian New Year. And with the Pacers win, they can become 13-9 for a season record. 139 is the 34th prime number. On the flip side, though, it is the 138th day on the Hebrew civil, and the Bucks can become 13-8 for a season record with a win. So it's the classic battle of the Hebrew versus the Gregorian. Who's going to win the infamous battle? Today does have 10 date numerology on the Gregorian. Pacers with the loss could get their 10th loss for the season. Although 34 is the 9th Fibonacci number, and Pacers could sit on 9 as they become 13-9. The 34th prime number, why Bucks get their 9th loss. But as I say that, the Bucks could get their 9th home win as they become 13-8 for the season on the 138th day of the Hebrew civil. It is the 21st day of the 11th month on the Hebrew religious, and it's the Bucks' 21st game and 11th home game. So it's the classic battle. Pacers are playing their 9th away game, so that could help with them sitting on 9. So, I mean, you got quite a doozy here. I'll leave you to it for you to decide. Mavericks versus the Hawks. So we have Mavericks that can do similar to what potentially Pacers can do, 13-9. But it's in a different format. They can become 9-13, which is like an anagram of 139, the 34th prime number. 34, the 9th Fibonacci, they would get their 9th win for the season. But on the flip side, if Hawks win this game, they would just simply sit on 34 all-time head-to-head losses against the Mavericks with a win. Mavericks are on a 6-game losing streak. They're not necessarily the hot team right now. They could get their seventh loss in a row. But the number 77 follows Mavericks and Luka Doncic, who wears the number 77. Could be the reason why they get their seventh loss in a row, or they could win and become 7-7 for an away record. And trust me when I say the number 77 follows Mavericks, whether good or bad. So it wouldn't surprise me if they get the 7, if that was the whole thing all along, or if they just become 7-7. They did become 7-7 for a season record during the season when they had the opportunity to. And now they could become 7-7 on the road, or they could just get their seventh loss in a row. The Hawks, with it being the 21st day of the 11th month on the Hebrew, 21st game, 11th home game, Hawks can get their 11th win or they can get their 11th loss. So that 11 kind of just swings both ways. If it were to be in favor of the Mavericks, Hawks would be 10-11 for a season record with the loss, as their coach gets his 111th regular season loss to go with it. So Hawks are either going to stay on 10 losses or stay on 10 wins. And one of these two teams is going to become 1-0 head-to-head against the other, like 10. And today does have 10 date numerology on the Gregorian. Hawks could get their 45th all-time head-to-head win against Mavericks. 45 is the ninth triangular, just like 34 is the ninth Fibonacci. Mavericks could get their 14th loss for the season in their 14th away game. So there's a narrative for both sides, like always. Let's keep it going. Clippers versus the Cavs. Today with 10 date numerology on the Gregorian. Cavs with the loss can sit on 10 wins, as their coach sits on 100 regular season wins with the loss. 100 has a square root of 10. One of these two teams is going to become 1-0 head-to-head against the other, like 10. This is Clippers' 23rd game of the season, the 9th prime number. Today is February the 3rd, 2/3, 34th day of the year, the 9th Fibonacci. Clippers can get their 9th away win. At the same time, though, Cavaliers, there's a 75 here that I think is interesting. Either the Cavaliers are going to get their 75th all-time head-to-head win against Clippers, or Cavaliers are going to become 7-5 at home with a loss. 75 does sum to 145, and if it goes against the Cavaliers and they become 7-5 at home, the Clippers coach would get his 145th regular season win. 75 sums to 145. It is the 131st all-time head-to-head matchup between these two teams. 131 is the 32nd prime number. 32 sums to 85. And with the loss, Clippers can become 8-5, like 85. So it goes both ways. Because with the win, Clippers can get their 57th all-time head-to-head win against the Cavs. And we've talked about the number 57 already. 57 sums to 139, the 34th prime. But it also sums to 131, it being the 131st all-time head-to-head. So Wizards and the Heat. So this one's going to be a battle between the Hebrew Civil and the Hebrew Religious. The Wizards, with a win, can become 5-13 for a season record. It is the 315th day on the Hebrew Religious. 513 is a reflection of 315. 513, 315. It is the 135th all-time head-to-head matchup between these two teams, and 135 is an anagram of 513, which is a reflection of 315. It is the 138th day on the Hebrew Civil, and the Heat can become 8-13 with the win. Um, they're not reflections of each other, but it is an anagram of each other. 138, 813. And the Wizards coach would get his 183rd regular season loss as a coach for Wizards, an anagram of 138, 183, 813. Today does have 46 date numerology on the Gregorian, and Wizards could become 2-7 on the road with the loss. 27 sums to 46. And at the same time, the Heat can become 2-0 head to head against the Wizards, like 20 for the season. 20 sums to 26. Today does have 26 date numerology on the Gregorian. So some interesting choices here. What's it going to be? The Hebrew civil or the Hebrew religious? The 138 or the 315? They're going to battle it out. Knicks versus the Bulls. So this one, we have 10 date numerology on the Gregorian, but it's also the 34th day, which is the 9th Fibonacci. So when you look at this game, it's like Knicks can either get their 10th win or they can stay on 9. Bulls can either get their 9th win for the season, and Knicks would get their 9th away loss. Is it going to be the 9-9 or is it going to be the 10? It's the Bulls' 10th home game. But at the same time, Bulls can get their 12th loss for the season and become 3-7 at home with the loss like 37, the 12th prime number. Or Knicks can get their 14th loss for the season in their 14th away game for the season. It's the Bulls' 20th game of the season, and Bulls can become 2-0 head-to-head against the Knicks for the season with the win. They would sweep them. The number 20 sums to 26 today with 26 date numerology on the Gregorian. So 46 date numerology on the Gregorian as well. Oops, just messed that up. And Bulls would become 4-6 at home with the win. So you just got to decide, is it the 10 or is it the 9? Right? Is it the 9 here or is it the 10? Is it the 12, 37, the 12th prime, or is it the 14, 14? Rockets versus Thunder. It's the Rockets' 11th away game. It's the Thunder's 9th home game. One of these two teams is going to be either 11-9 or 9-11 for a season record with the win today. If Thunder do win, they become 1-1, like an 11 head-to-head against the Rockets for the season. In the Rockets' 11th game, and they can sit on 11 losses. But at the same time, it's the Rockets' 20th game of the season, Thunder's 20th game of the season, and Rockets can sweep the Thunder 2-0, like 20 head-to-head for the season with the win. 20 sums to 26 today with 26 date numerology. Rockets would get their 7th win in a row. If that were to happen, 7 sums to 20. If Thunder do win, though, they become 2-7 at home for the season, like 27. The number 27 sums to 46 today with 46 date numerology on the Gregorian. So who becomes 11-9, 9-11 is the question. Is the 20 in play for the 2-0, like 20 head-to-head, or is it the 11? Thunder sit on 11. 11th away game for Rockets. Does have 10 date numerology on the Gregorian. Rockets could become 10-10 for a season record with the loss. Or they can get their 7th win in a row. 7 sums to 20. Both these teams' 20th game for the season. You'll have to make your decision there. Timberwolves versus the Spurs. So the Spurs can either get their 12th win for this season and become 2-1 head-to-head against Timberwolves, Or Timberwolves in their 21st game of the season can become 2-1 head to head against the Spurs with the win. So is it the 12 or is it the 21? Is it the 21? Is it the 12? 21 is the sixth triangular number, I believe. Yeah, sixth triangular number. And Timberwolves could get their sixth win in their 21st game as they become 2-1 head to head against the Spurs. Or Spurs can get their 12th win for the season and become 2-1 head to head against the Timberwolves as they sit on 10 losses for the season on a day with 10 date numerology on the Gregorian. Timberwolves 10th away game for the season. Timberwolves coach would sit on 41 regular season wins with a loss, the 13th prime number. Spurs can get their 91st regular season head-to-head win against the Wolves, the 13th triangular number. It's the Spurs' 13th home game for the season. But it's also the 34th day of the Gregorian year, and Timberwolves could get their 34th regular season head-to-head win against the Spurs. Suns versus the Pelicans. So we're kind of seeing this theme a little bit in some other games. 20th game for the Suns, 20th game for the Pelicans. If the Suns win, they can sweep the Pelicans 2-0, like 20 for the season. The number 20 sums to 26 today with 26 date numerology on the Gregorian. However, with the loss, the Suns would sit on 11 wins for the season as they become 1-1 head-to-head against the Pelicans. Pelicans evening the score like 11, and Pelicans would get their 31st all-time head-to-head win against the Suns. 31 is the 11th prime number. The number 11 sums to 63, and it is the 63rd all-time head-to-head matchup between these two teams. Today has 46 date numerology on the Gregorian. Pelicans could become 4-6 at home for this season with the loss, as the Suns coach gets his 46th regular season win as a coach for the Suns. So is it going to be the 11 pattern or is it going to be the 20-46 pattern? That's what you're going to have to decide. And then the last game of the night, Celtics versus the Kings. Celtics 11th away game, Kings 12th home game. 11-12, 12-11. Is it for the Kings to go from 11 wins to or 11 losses to 12 losses, and Celtics to go from 11 wins to 12 wins? Is that what it's telling us? Or are one of these just going to play out and it'll just be the Celtics sitting on 11 wins in their 11th away game, and then on date numerology of 10, Kings get their 10th win for the season and sit on 11 losses for the season as the Kings become 1-0 head-to-head against the Celtics like 10. So one of these teams are going to go 1-0 head-to-head against the other like 10. Could be the Kings getting their 10th win to go with it. Celtics would get their 9th loss, 34th day on the Gregorian, the 9th Fibonacci. But Kings could just sit on 9 wins for the season with a loss and get their 12th loss for the season in their 12th home game. So it's either going to be 12-12 or 11-11. It's either going to be Celtics go from 11-12 in the 11th away, 12th home, and Kings go to 11-12 losses, or it's going to be this 10 here, and it's going to line up with the 10 here. Kings coach could get his 139th regular season win, the 34th prime number. And if it's the 11s, if Celtics sit on 11 in their 11th away, they would become 6-6 for an away record, and Kings would become 6-6 for a home record with the win. 666 is the 11th triangular number. So I have some decisions there to make. It is the 321st all-time head-to-head matchup between these two teams, and if with the Celtics win, they would sit on 123 or all-time losses against the Kings. Excuse me. Let me say that again. 321st all-time head-to-head matchup between these two teams, and with the Celtics win, the Celtics would sit on 123 all-time losses against the Kings. Those numbers are reflections of each other. They could just sit there in this game. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. So I'll let you guys decide what makes the most sense to you. Um, don't hesitate to add anything below in the comments. And best of luck to you guys' picks. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.